Welcome back to the channel, guys. It is time for my favorite type of video. It's the Man United hot takes video. This is where I put out a tweet. If you're not following me on Twitter already, make sure you do so you can get involved in these types of videos. And I say send in your Man United hot takes and I will react to them for a video. And I can't lie, you guys delivered 44 replies, bro. You guys went mad. I haven't read any of these, so I'm going to be going through them one by one. I'm going to be seeing which ones do I reply to, which ones do I react to, and what do I think of your hot takes. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go through them. Okay, the first one is coming in from United Chris. Shout out United Chris. He said the day we let Bruno go and not take the £100 million from Saudi was the day our summer transfer window was over, given that we have to sell players before we can buy and on a low budget. I don't know if I agree with this fully. I'll tell you two reasons. The first is that we can sign Cunha and Mbeumo without selling Bruno. That is a fact. If we wanted to be serious, if we wanted to move like a serious club, we could have paid what Brentford are asking for, which by the way, I hope you guys know, after all of this deliberation, consideration, conversation, all of this nonsense that we've been delaying in this deal, you know we're going to end up signing Mbeumo for exactly what Brentford wanted. I hope everyone knows that. So all of this, that we've delayed it for over a month now, since we first made initial contact with Brentford, over a month of negotiating, 2 bids going in, both of them getting rejected. All of this, wasting time, delaying our activity in the transfer window is going to go to waste. It's not going to make any sense because we're going to pay Brentford what they wanted anyway. So that goes to show that we can pay the money for Mbeumo from Brentford, and we've already paid for Cunha. So to sign those 2 players, we didn't need to sell anyone. So I don't think us rejecting that bid from Saudi for Bruno has stopped the Mbeumo deal. I don't think that's the case at all. That's probably something that the club want you to think, but it's not the case. Now, when it comes on to further signings, 100%, we're going to have to sell players. And selling Bruno to Saudi would have brought in a lot of money. That's just facts. Now, I would agree with it if we didn't have anyone else on the transfer list. We've got Rashford, we've got Garnacho, we've got Anthony, we've got Sancho, and we've got Malacia. All to sell. All need to go. Potentially even Onana, Højlund, Casemiro. So, having seen the transfer activity so far, do you think that selling Bruno, and this is an open question for anyone, do you trust the club to reinvest that money properly, efficiently, effectively to find a Bruno replacement? Or do you think they're just going to sign a player and they say, oh, you know what, our budget is a bit tight, a lot of it had to go back into the club, we can't find a like-for-like replacement? I don't trust this board, I don't trust this leadership at all. So personally, I don't think our transfer window was reliant on Bruno. I can see why you think that, because bid rejected, before the bid gets rejected, everything is moving. We're making moves. A lot of news is coming out almost daily. After the bid gets rejected, nothing. But I genuinely don't think it has any relationship to the Mbeumo deal. I think we can sign, it's not even I think, it's a fact. We can sign Mbeumo without selling Bruno. More players that we want to sign, we've got a bunch on the sidelines just waiting, rotting away. No relationship with the team, no relationship with the manager. We need to get rid of them. So in my eyes, I hear you, but I disagree. Right, the next one is coming in from Monty 5-star. He says, my hot take is we're not as far from the top as people think. We played Barca in the Europa League just 2 seasons ago. Now we're in a Champions League semi. No, we're not, mate. Oh, I think he probably means now they're in it because they were in the Champions League. Milan had their banter era in the 2010s, won Serie A in 2022, sorry. Chelsea finished 12th 2 seasons ago. Now they are world champs. Big clubs always recover. I hear you and I understand why you say that. But the truth is the truth. Our board is incompetent. Chelsea's ownership shows ambition. They showed intent, that they want to sign players, that they are signing players, they're not just talking. Barcelona have been blessed with one of the best young players in the world and a bunch of others as well, which is what Barcelona tend to do. And to be fair, the club, although it's a mess in its own right, it's run much better than us. Barcelona would never finish below 10th. From this point onwards, they would never finish below 10th. Maybe in the past, cool. So in that sense, I disagree. I do agree, though, that football can change very, very quickly. And listen, if we're competing for the league in 4 years' time, if someone from the future, 4 years' time, comes back to here and tells me, Hussein, Manchester United are competing for the league, I wouldn't be gobsmacked. I wouldn't be shocked, because football can change and history will tell you that football can change so quickly from one season to another. But at the same time, I'm not betting on it. I'm not putting any money on it. Our ownership, our leadership is a complete shambles. I don't trust these owners. I don't trust this board. I don't trust the staff that we have. I don't trust anyone. And so for that reason, I'm strapped in. I think this is going to take a few years. I think 5 to 6 years until we're probably in top 4 again. I don't know, man. I'm here for the long run. I'm not expecting anything anytime soon. And to be honest, it does depress me thinking about it because I'm going to be in my 30s, man, when I next hopefully see United do something. Right, the next one is coming in from Markel Marfo. Amorim's system cannot work, especially in the building part from the back aspect when we have midfielders like Ugarte and Casemiro who are not ball carriers and uncomfortable on the ball. Listen, I'm in agreement with you. I think when we signed Ugarte, I was worried because if you remember Ten Hag's system, the DM used to come and collect the ball from the centre backs or from the full backs and then turn and obviously play progressive football. And that's why Casemiro was caught out so many times. And it was almost a weird signing because we went from De Jong to Casemiro. De Jong is that type of player. Casemiro just isn't. But then we looked at replacing Casemiro and we looked out there. Okay, who is there? we went and signed Ugarte. I was worried because Ugarte isn't that guy either. Ugarte is not going to get the ball and carry it out from the back. I do think there is a role for Ugarte in the team. Amorim needs someone he can trust, who can press, who can win the ball back, do all that kind of dog work. So I think Ugarte has a role in the team for sure, but I do think we need a techie centre mid to go alongside him. The techiest centre mid who can also press, run, tackle, do all that kind of stuff. So I'm in agreement with you. I think Amorim's system depends a lot on the centre mids and depends a lot on those 2 10s. And obviously the first thing that he's going to correct is those 2 10s. We've got Cunha, hopefully we're going to get an Mbeumo. After the striker, we're going to focus on a centre mid. Let's see, because we haven't even got the right 10 wrapped up yet. So God knows who we're going to get up front. There are reports coming out today that Nico Jackson potentially could be someone that we're looking at. Don't know how, we can't afford him. But then after that, potentially we're going to move to the centre mid position. And I'm in agreement with you. I think we need a bad boy in centre mid. I do think though that this season we're going to cost cut. And we're going to try and be efficient and try and find someone who can do the job, who is decent. But I don't know if they're going to be that player that we need. Right, the next one comes in from Banks. He says, if Oli received backing from the board, he would have challenged for the league at a high level and even won it. The same Oli that was given Cristiano Ronaldo, Jadon Sancho and Rafa Varane in one window. Arguably our best window when you look at players, quality of players, money spent in the past few years. Oli was given that. Oli was given backing. I don't know where this has come from that Oli wasn't backed. We signed Harry Maguire for £80 million. We signed Aaron Wan-Bissaka for £40 or £50 million. Oli was backed. I like Oli as a coach. I think he was capped at what he knew, what he was able to do with the team. You can say a lot of things about Oli. One of them definitely isn't that he didn't receive backing from the board. He did receive a lot of backing from the board. The next one comes in from Hussein. Nah, not me. If Garnacho stays and plays the way Amorim wants, he will score 15 league goals this Premier League season. And if my grandmother had will, she would have been a bike. Now, in all seriousness, if Garnacho stays and plays the way Amorim wants, I mean, if Højlund stays and plays the way Amorim wants, if Onana stays and plays the way Amorim wants, there's a lot of players we can say that about. At the end of the day, what lets Garnacho down is his attitude. You're not going to change that about him. You know, he's not going to change his ways. If you can change that, and then you can change how wasteful he is in front of goal, and you can change maybe his ego, and you can change a few other things, then great. We've got a great player. We've got a wonder kid. But that's not the case. Garnacho is very limited in what he can do on the pitch, but it's what he does off the pitch which made me turn against him. Right, the next one comes in from CB. He says, in the current stage of Man United, it would need the biggest overhaul of the whole club in the modern history of football without any tragic incidents. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against that. The club needs to be stripped from top to bottom. I'm talking leadership, ownership, playing squad. So much needs to change. And that's why sometimes I sit back and I really evaluate where Man United are as a club. I really evaluate what we're doing and the people we have in charge and where we are. And it's moments like that where I really realize that we are so far off it. We are so behind everyone else that this is going to take a huge rebuild. Like, the playing squad is nowhere near good enough, but we don't have the money for it because we need to sell players from that playing squad that no one wants to buy. So already that's created a loop. That's created an issue. Then you look at it from a staff level, from a facilities level. Our facilities are way behind others. Financial, we're way behind. Then let's not even talk about the ownership, because that I could make a 2-hour video in itself. Right, the next one comes in from United Corm. He says, Antonio Valencia is a top 3 Prem right back of all time. Straight off the back, I disagree with that. That's crazy. And he also says Højlund will be a success with Cunha and Mbeumo providing for him. Right, you gone 0 for 2 there, buddy. Listen, I love Antonio Valencia. I think from about 2009 to maybe 2012, he was one of the best wingers in the world. Like, especially I think it was that 09-10 season. He was unstoppable. But to say he was one of the best right backs of all time in the Premier League is a ridiculous statement. I'm sorry. But I can't help but think Antonio Valencia in this right wing back position under Amorim system. Oh, I need that. And then the other one you said about Højlund, I'm not even going to talk about that guy. I don't think he's going to be a success. I don't care if he had Iron Man and Hulk behind him. He is not doing anything. Right, the next one comes in from MHMD. The first one is, we don't need to sign a striker this summer. Brother. This is, I can see a pattern here. People, I don't think you guys believe this. I think this is what's happening. You guys are seeing that we wanted Delap, we didn't get him. We wanted Gyökeres, we didn't get him. You're looking around and you're like, who are we gonna get? Because Ekitike is not coming, Isak's not coming, Osimhen's not coming. No one that you want is coming. Let's be real. So now you're looking at it and you're like, Højlund. Højlund if he fulfills his potential. Højlund if he actually starts playing well and gets goals. You guys are mentally preparing yourself so that you don't suffer. That's what's happening right now. No one thinks Højlund is going to do well next season. Højlund doesn't even think he's going to do well next season. I'm telling you now, get that thought out of your mind. We need to be better as fans. We need to put pressure on the club that no, we're not going to settle for Rasmus Højlund, another season of Rasmus Højlund. We've seen it before. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Wallah, fool me 3 times, I'll smack you on the head. And then the second thing you've said is Rashford should stay at the club. Completely disagree again. Disrespected the club by making a statement saying that he wants to leave before he even told the club that he wants to leave. We've given his number away as well. It's not happening. The story between Rashford and Manchester United is over. Then he goes on to say, if United sell Højlund and get the Mbeumo deal done, having Rashford and Zirkzee as 9 options is good enough, and the focus should be on strengthening other positions. No! You want a winger as your striker, and then you want a 9.5 as your striker. Rashford as a striker does not work. Can we please leave that in the past, please? It's never worked. He's had maybe 1 or 2 games where he's scored being a striker. When he's had a long spell being striker, it doesn't work. He's poor. Right, the next one comes in from Sana Talks Ball. Shout out Sana. He says, Sir Alex Ferguson sets Manchester United up for failure after he retired. I've heard this a lot over the past few years, that Sir Alex somehow knew what was coming and he abandoned the ship before it fully sunk. And to be honest, I don't agree. You know what? Let's take a look at the squad he left Man United with. Okay, so obviously this was a team that won the Premier League in the previous season and won it very, very easily, by the way, very convincingly. So right off the bat, you got one of the best goalkeepers in the league, one of the best young goalkeepers as well. 22 years old for a goalkeeper is stupidly young, especially for how good David De Gea was at the time as well. Of course, he wasn't as good as he was going to become, but he was still good. That 12-13 season was a good, solid foundation. And then you had an experienced goalkeeper and Anders Lindegaard behind him, who was also good. Nothing great, but you know, when you needed him to come in, he could. Then let's talk about the defense. You've got Nemanja Vidic, cool, 31-year-old Nemanja Vidic, but the experience, the leadership in that changing room, Nemanja Vidic was crucial to that team. But then to balance out that experience, you've got Phil Jones, who was up and coming, one of the best young prospects at the time in that position. And by the way, this Phil Jones was unbelievable. So versatile, would play midfield, right back, centre back when Fergie needed him to. He called him potentially Man United's best ever player for a reason. I can't lie to you guys, man. Chris Smalling, Johnny Evans, Rio Ferdinand, Michael Keane, like, what's not to like in that centre back position? So cool, maybe you can say we needed a centre back. Then fullbacks, you've got Patrice Evra, of course, was coming towards the end of his career as well. Alex Butno, who, okay, cool, flop. Ashley Young and Antonio Valencia were your wingers at the time. They weren't right back or left back, they were wingers. You had Rafael and Fabio. You could play Rafael on the right, Fabio on the left. There's no problem with that. So maybe you're looking left back position, we needed to strengthen. I agree. I mean, centre mids at the time, you had Michael Carrick, Tom Cleverley, Anderson, Darren Fletcher. Obviously, Paul Scholes went on to retire, so he didn't carry on that season or into the new season. But Tom Cleverley at the time, cool. What happened after? I understand. But Tom Cleverley at the time, wow. They were making pictures where it was half Tom Cleverley's face and half Paul Scholes' face. I know, I had it as my profile picture forever. But again, definitely needed some work in the centre midfield. That's why going into the new transfer window, we were linked with the likes of Fellaini, Thiago, Fabregas, Cruz. Centre mid was definitely something we needed to strengthen. But he didn't leave it in a state. It's only because really Paul Scholes retired. In the 10, you had Shinji Kagawa, you had Wayne Rooney. Obviously, as we know, Giggs went on to play another season. You had some young bucks coming through as well, man. You had Jesse Lingard. Wilfried Zaha, of course, was Sir Alex Ferguson's last ever signing. Nani, still only 26 years old, was a bit inconsistent, but still a quality player. Adnan Januzaj, who we know went on to have an incredible season that season. And like I said, look at the striking options, man. So you got Wayne Rooney, who's a 10, but could also play up front. Robin van Persie, Chicharito, Danny Welbeck. Berbatov didn't end up playing that season. I think he left anyways, but it's a solid base. I think if we moved competently in hiring a good manager, hiring a good replacement for David Gill, and signing some actual quality players rather than just Marouane Fellaini by himself, who, don't get it twisted, I rate Fellaini later, but that season in particular, he was horrible. Yeah, I wouldn't say he set us up for failure, to be honest. Right, the next one is coming in from Aman. He says, Zirkzee hitting 10 goals and assists in the Prem and getting 20 goals all comps. Copium, man. I know what you're going through, bro. Let me tell you something about Zirkzee, yeah? The type of player Zirkzee is. If Zirkzee was to go on and have his best ever season next season, Zirkzee still isn't scoring 20 goals in all comps. He's not that type of player. He said it himself. I'm not really a 9. I'm more of a 10 or a 9.5. He said it himself. He's not a ruthless finisher, and you kind of need to be to hit 20 goals all comps. It's the profile of the player. Like, look at the player and then make a prediction of what he's going to do that season. Zirkzee has never been a goal scorer. That's just not what he does. We bought him knowing that. Yes, he scores goals, but he's not that ruthless guy that you need in front of goal. But where he lacks that, he obviously makes up for in other positions and other strengths and abilities. His link-up play, the ability to drop deep, the ability to create space, his intelligence, he's all got that. But finishing in itself, 20 goals in all comps, I don't think. Right, Zaya has said, I think re-signing Ronaldo set us back, but I don't care because the big moments were so good. Also, we had to stop him from joining Man City at all costs. Okay, the Ronaldo signing is a weird one because I don't know how you can justify that a player was a bad signing when he scored that many goals for you in his first season. Like, go back and watch that season. Ronaldo was the only one scoring clutch moments in the Champions League, clutch moments in the Premier League. I'd almost say that if we didn't have Ronaldo that season, it would have ended up way, way worse. Now people will say, oh yeah, but Cavani would have played in that position. Was Cavani going to score as many goals as Ronaldo? Probably not. And is Ole's system so dependent that the striker has to press, otherwise it all falls apart? Because if that's the case, then maybe that's Ole's fault as well. Sancho wasn't a good signing, let's be honest. Varane wasn't as available as we'd like him to be, let's be honest. Our midfield was weak. So there's a lot of other reasons as why the team was so bad that particular season. Now, of course, Ronaldo has arguments against him as well. Cool, maybe did ruin the structure of the team. Maybe the attention was on him a bit too much and he took away the limelight from other players. Maybe affected the way other players played. I mean, Bruno was a big conversation that Bruno wasn't the same player after Ronaldo came in. But like I said, you bring in a number 9 to score goals and the number 9 does it and we say, well, the rest of the team is suffering now because the number 9 is scoring goals. In my head, it doesn't make sense. But like I said, you can still criticize the signing because at the end of the day, it ended in absolute shambles. And of course, Erik ten Hag has a part to blame in that as well. But at the same time, we did have to stop him joining City at all costs because he was going to join City. He's a sicko. He was going to do it. He was going to join Man City and that would make us look like absolute idiots. And like he said, the moments were unbelievable. The signing, the announcement, the first game at home against Newcastle, just all of it amazing. But let me know your thoughts on the Ronaldo thing because till now, like I go either way. Sometimes I think we had to do it. Other times I think, oh, what if we didn't? Veer says, Anthony Martial is the closest profile to R9. Close control dribbling, flair, strength, speed and finishing. You know what that's like me saying? I look like Cristiano Ronaldo. I've got a jaw, I've got lips, I've got eyes, I've got hair, and I've been to Old Trafford. Me and Cristiano Ronaldo were the same. Guys, what are we doing? You did not watch R9 if you think him and Martial are close. In any comparison, I don't care if it's characteristics, playing style, whatever, they're not the same. Although I will say, if it went right with Anthony Martial, his playing style, how he looked on the ball, his confidence, it could have been special. It could have, but it wasn't. He's in Greece. Right, the next one comes in from Raspiritus, I think. He says, Ruud van Nistelrooy is the best pure finisher in the history of the Premier League. And actually, funnily enough, the one right underneath it, Finish the Story 2026, Robin van Persie is better than Ruud van Nistelrooy. Hey, it's a good argument to have. Now, to focus on the first one, Ruud van Nistelrooy is the best pure finisher. I hear it. Now, I don't know if the attribute is finishing or just like a taste for goal, a hunger for goals that we've never seen before. Because most of his finishes were relatively easy. They were in and around the box, or in and around the 6-yard area, really. He's one of the best poachers. He knew where to be all the time. He knew what runs to make all the time. He knew how to move and send defenders every single time. It looked like this guy just couldn't stop scoring. So in terms of IQ, in terms of just being an overall striker that just wants nothing to do with anything else other than scoring goals, Ruud van Nistelrooy is up there with the best, not even in the Premier League, and all time, in my opinion. Funnily enough, Ruud van Nistelrooy is actually the reason I support Manchester United. Watching him growing up, I said, who is this guy? Why the Vodafone on his kit looks unreal. The way his hair's moving when he's celebrating and scoring. I loved Ruud van Nistelrooy. But yeah, I'm not mad at that statement at all. I just don't know if it's finisher or if I don't know if it's another attribute or ability that we're talking about. But listen, finishing in itself, the one, I think it was against Fulham, where he's just running, and suddenly everyone thinks he's going to take another touch, but he just takes it in stride and finishes so calmly. What a player. And then obviously the next one being Van Persie is better than Ruud van Nistelrooy. Listen, like I said, that's a conversation I don't mind having. If you say Van Persie is better than Van Nistelrooy is better than Van Persie, cool. Either way, I'll take it. Two of my favorite players to ever play for Manchester United. Robin van Persie for me, as a player, was more complete. As a football player, was better. Like, I'd go as far to say as, I don't know if we're going to see another Robin van Persie. Like, his profile was so ridiculous. Someone who was that good on the ball, that flary, that close control that he had. His touch, his shot power, his finishing, his technique. I will always say it, Robin van Persie has the best kicking technique out of any player ever. For me personally. In terms of on the eye, what I liked watching, wow. Zach says, Amrim will be sacked by Christmas, and contrary to popular belief, it's okay to sack a manager before they've had 3+ windows if it's clearly not working. Listen, at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Amrim gets sacked, and in my opinion, Amrim has had some part to blame, but even if you're Amrim out and you have been for the past few months, you can't say confidently that the club has truly backed him this summer. You can't say that. So I'm sorry to say, but it would be hard to judge Amrim next season, because there will always be that question of what if. Look at Arsenal. A lot of people have been speaking about it, that like the online discussion is that this is really make or break for Arsenal. This is really make or break for Arteta. And so what are Arsenal doing? They're giving him as much as he can possibly have. They're doing everything that they can in this transfer window so that there's no what if. I mean, other than Rodrigo, really, you've got Gyökeres, you've got Madueke, you've got Zubamendi, you've got Mosquera. Like, you've brought in some really quality players, and you're probably going to push on. Eze maybe. So they're really saying, listen, this is make or break. You go out, no excuses, and show us what you've got and win us the league. You can't say that Man United have done the same thing for Amrim. So if they do sack him, I'm sorry, but I can never say that's fully Amrim's fault. I can't. The next hot take comes in from Ronald Del Cid. He says, do you think Man United should be shopping for cheaper options? A team with a lot of holes about to pay 100 million for 2 players when there's been no sales. I'm all for shopping for cheaper options. There's no problem with that at all for me. The hardest part is, can you find cheap options that genuinely have quality and can improve our squad right now? And there isn't a shadow of a doubt in my mind that the answer is yes. Teams do it every single season. They go out and find a player for 15, 20 millions and everyone's like, how have they done this? Well, they do it by scouting the players, finding the market opportunity, finding the right time to approach the club. Maybe the club is going through financial difficulty. Maybe they've just been relegated. Maybe they're having to sell players. It's known that they have to sell players. Maybe they're going into the last year of their contract. They move like a club should operate. We don't have that. We haven't had that for years. I don't remember the last bargain we ever had, really. We inflate prices, buy players that don't want to leave or the club doesn't want to sell or have 5 years on their contract or 4 years on their contract. And even the ones like Mason Mount who have 1 year on their contract, we pay 50+ million for. I'm all for shopping for cheaper options, believe me. I would love Man United to go out and sign 3 to 4 players that I've never heard of before, 20 million each, and they all come in and bang. I have no problem with that at all. Historically, we haven't been able to do it, and you thought it was going to be different with Ineos coming in and finding these market opportunities that maybe we haven't done before, but unfortunately it hasn't been the case. Right, RK says, this season will surpass many fans' expectations and it will be due mainly to a full preseason with competent coaching staff. I wish I had your optimism, man. I wish. I have no doubt that on the pitch, in terms of movements, in terms of fluidity, in terms of understanding each other and understanding what everyone wants to do and what the players are doing that Amrim wants them to do, like embodying his tactical view on football, we're going to be better, of course. Amrim has always stressed that he needs a preseason. He needs time with the players. He needs to train. He needs to show them tapes. But all of that has a cap, and all of that is limited when you don't bring in quality to aid it and assist it, and when you don't get rid of the deadwood that are infecting the squad. At this moment in time, we need nothing short of a miracle, and we need nothing short of a magician. It's a very, very, very big task to manage Manchester United at this moment, and we're not helping ourselves in getting a miracle anytime soon. United 316 says, we will never be successful by our standards until the ownership is gone, and this summer is the biggest example of why. They've seen us finish 15th and watch City, Liverpool, Arsenal and Chelsea sign players and sell players while we have signed one and sold none. I mean, it's not really a hot take. I 100% agree with you. That's the coldest take in the world. I think that is just straight facts. Seeing everyone doing everything. I said it before. Everyone's catching a dance. Everyone's catching a wine except us. And we need it the most. Everyone who's catching a wine is already taken. They're in long, happy relationships. We've been down for ages and we can't catch a wine to save our lives. Tawheed 974 says, rather Watkins over Ekitike because we need the experience. I'm not mad at that. I don't know that much about Ekitike. I don't know if he's the player we need. I don't know how high his ceiling is. I don't know how good he was last season for Frankfurt because I genuinely didn't watch him and I don't want to come on here and pretend like I did. I know he's a good player with a lot of interest. Liverpool want him, Chelsea want him, Newcastle made an approach for him. So you don't get all of that interest and be a dud. He is good. But I also like Watkins. I think Watkins, like you said, is experienced, but he also has the ability to finish and lead the line, which I really like. He's quick, he's a good finisher, he's got all the attributes you really need in a striker, but his link-up play is something very, very underrated as well. I think he's great at link-up. So I wouldn't be mad at signing Watkins at all. At the end of the day, brother, we have Rasmus Højlund. Right, guys, that is the end of today's video. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. Thank you for everyone who submitted their statements and hot takes. I had a great time going through all of them. And I'm sorry if I didn't have enough time to read yours, but make sure you follow me on Twitter. Make sure you follow this page because I'll regularly be doing stuff like this. And to be fair, the hot take stuff is one of my favorite formats to do on this channel. So as always, guys, I make content for you guys. So tell me what you want to see next. What format, what topic, what discussion. Because it doesn't seem like Man United are doing anything anytime soon. So I'm forced to be creative. And as always, I will see you guys very, very, very shortly.